Everybody, it's Friday, end of the week, and I decided to come out with one more video this month just because I've been on a roll, right? One video a week, which is great. To be honest, I've been doing a video about DistroKid in the beginning, so I'm gonna finish off with that. This one's gonna be real short, just a couple minutes here. I'm gonna talk about sending out credits, sending out the liner notes, because I know everybody wants their credit, especially us engineers. We always forgot about for some reason, right? You only see credits for producers and songwriters. DistroKid allows you to add credits to a lot more stuff than just that, like arrangers, musicians, mixers, masters, even the studio. You can have the social media links and things like that. So, you know, you go to Spotify, you click the three dots, and you're like, show credits, and you only see the artists and the producers and songwriters. You go to DistroKid, you go inside your account, and then you click the song you want from the music tab. You click the song, and right there it says credits. You click credits, and then you can start adding more stuff. You can click the engineers, you can add arrangers, and all that good stuff, and it gets sent to the store so they can add it to the metadata, to the song info, to the song credits, whatever they want to call it, but it's there. Very easy, very sweet to do, and you know, everybody deserves credit. We all worked very hard on these records, especially if a song's a big hit. It's like, dude, I put so much time and effort in that. Please at least give me some credit. Tell people that I worked on it. So thought I'd brush over that real quick because you can even add things like designers. You know, people put a lot of time and work and effort to just even design the artwork. So you can add them into it too. Now, without speaking about DistroKid and the credits too much because it's kind of self-explanatory, let's jump into this lesson. So the song I brought up, it's not called Drive By Remix. It's a different title. I forgot what it is. I'm so sorry, Otis. I'm so sorry, Juke. But anyways, this is an Otis Reed record produced by Jukebox. And I know everybody really liked Resurrection. They did, or we did. And that's in my How to Use the Waves SSL channel video. But this is a new record. We got featuring Brian Cade and Fat Lip, which is super dope. And I want to bring this to your attention because our jobs as mixing engineers is to bring life to the records, right? We enhance stuff. We hear the good stuff, we make it sound better, we enhance it so it comes out. We hear the bad stuff and we hide that. We do not want to hear that. If you have a bad singer, we make the singer sound good, like they can sing. That's what we do as engineers, mixing engineers. I want to show you guys because I've been seeing a lot of processing. People feel like they have to have an EQ or compressor on every single track. As you can see here, I got my instruments. You've been following me for a while, you know all my instruments are yellow. I moved my auxes up so you can see what I'm doing with them. And then underneath that's all my vocal stuff. I'm not gonna touch up on the vocal stuff today, so I'm just gonna come here and I'm actually going to make them all inactive. Then I have their 2-track here, it's their reference, and basically it has the vocals in there, but they're just more just for the placeholder, just so I know the timing of it. But I want you guys to focus more on the beat and how I brought it to life from what they sent me. I'm gonna play theirs first, then I'm gonna bypass it and I'm gonna toggle it to show mine.
Number one question, yo, how can I be down? Heard you got that good, and make that Mac is easy sound. I ain't worried about your past, cause I'm trying to be your man. Yo, nigga is a clown, cause I heard you be down. Deserve it. I know I ain't perfect, but that shit the worst. I love your profile pic, but you look best in person. That's the person that created that beautiful.
So that last toggle, you're really able to hear it was night and day on how much more life mine has, and theirs just kind of sounds dull now. The original play, the first play before I played mine, it's like, it sounds real good. And then once I toggled it and then went back to theirs, you're like, okay, it's night and day, his has more life. So I'm gonna do that again. I'm gonna start off with mine this time, then I'll toggle onto the other one. Alright, so now let's dive in and show you exactly what I do. As you can tell, all my outputs for my instruments, they're all routed somewhere to some kind of aux. Bass, kicks, snares, overheads, percussion, synths, and effects. I labeled these over here. As you can tell, some of them are labeled different. That's what I labeled them. I labeled Fox effects, Rise snares. And I wrote these as snares because originally I was going to treat them as snares. I'll explain that in a bit. Let's just start with the top, right? The 808. For the 808, it goes to this bass track, and I'll pull up that EQ we're going in. And as you can see, nothing's actually going on. I just really like the sound of the SSL, so I always have like my instruments go through them. Nothing's going on at all. Everything's zeroed. All these are all zeroed. The compressor, it's at the default when you pull up the plugin. It's not doing anything. The link's off, and really cool, right? So what did I add here? I just added the CLA3A, and the reason why I added that because I felt like the bass or the 808 can really have a little more spank to it. It can really be like more cozy and tight. But when you see my meter right now, you're going to notice it's going to be barely moving. And then that's where I added the 2 dB back. The gain I just always leave at 5 on this plugin, and then I just mess with the peak reduction. This is at 100 and off. And here's that bass soloed. So it's making those mids, that distortion sound in that mids area, come out more because it's compressing it and then it's bringing it up. That's what that's doing, and it sounds really cool. It sounds real good. And now let's move to the kick. So for the kick, as you can see, it goes to kicks, and when I go down to kicks here, nothing's going on. Same thing, zeros, everything. Like I said before, I just like the sound of the SSL, so I always have my stuff go through it. And then I have this plugin here, or this send, going to a distressor B, which is just adding some punch. It's doing a parallel compression here on this distressor. That's it. And that's just to add the punch to that kick. And then I got this, right? And I brought this in to pull out these frequencies here every time it kicks because I felt like it was clashing with the 808, and that's what I end up addressing to fix. So let's go here and let's play these two together. And just with this little guy on here, you can hear it just gives it a little more punch. Nothing's clashing. They both sit real tight together. They sit good. And that's really all I did there. I'll pull off the parallel compression so you can hear what that sounds like also. So let me just pull that down. Let me go back to this, how we had it. Really just punches through. That was the whole goal for that. Now we got the snare track, right? And this is the snare track here. You can see there's nothing going on. Nothing on here. So I go down here to this snare section, and as you can see, same thing. Everything's at 0, nothing's going on. I have it going to that same distressor B, just to give it a little more punch, and that's it. We moved down and we got these guys here, and I sent them to overheads. I called them breaks. They weren't really breaks, but I didn't know what to put them as. So I just wrote break 1, break 2. I think it's because it kind of just went down like this, where it was like break, break, and then break. Since this was an actual break, that's why I labeled it. My brain just works weird, but that's why I labeled it like that. And this is just the intro. And then we got this section here. So I guess that is just the drum loop, like an actual break. So I sent those to overheads, including this one. We'll play this one, might as well, right? And they have a lot going on. So I sent them to overheads, barely did any kind of fader moves, and the overheads go here. And I just added a little compression and just a little top in there at 2.2 dB. Nothing else is moved. For this plugin, the compressor has the auto makeup gain. So I think that's why I added it on, just makes it a little tad louder too and just keeps things real tight. So I'll play those 3. Let's do that like this. And that's all that really did, just add a little top in and a little louder because of that compressor. So let's move down to these cymbals here, these cymbal rides. And this was the meat of the record for me. I was like, okay, let me add a little more to this thing. And what I did was, though, I sent some percussion and all I added was the effects. I'm pretty sure this is all zeroed also. Yeah, everything's zeroed again. And I just sent it to the effects to make it brighter, just to give it life. This is the part that actually gave it life, was this effects, because those were so dull sounding. So that really just brought life to the entire record. And then we got these guys, which, like I said, I was going to treat them as snares originally, but I decided to go with synths. Just throw them to a synth track, different track, and give them their own little thing to do. So for these guys, if we go to the synth track, it should be all at 0. Yep, all at 0 also. Let me play them so you can hear why I was going to treat them as snares originally. So that snare is like real prominent in it, and it's like, okay, that's the main focus of that loop. Then we have this one. Same thing. So I was like, okay, let's treat it as snare because we're gonna need those snares in there. But what I decided to do was I just pushed them out of the way. I used the S1 imager, pushed it up to 1.27. They're both exactly the same. So they're out of the way on the actual snare when it comes in, and out of the way of the 808 and the bass. And what it does too is just gives a little more width to the actual snare that's in there. So if I bring this snare in, oops, like that. So it just gives a little more width to that snare, and it just brought it to life. And lastly, we have these effects tracks, which is just a riser and then that yeah or whatever it is. And I just kind of just did a little volume, just a little volume moves. And if I go to the effects, it's all at 0. Nothing going on. So the last thing that comes to mind to really just bring this whole thing to life is what am I doing in my mix bus and master bus, right? That's what you're probably thinking. For my mix bus, it goes into my preset and then master start, and that's the settings there, just to add a little tad of compression. Only more than usual, but it's there. And then the master is this guy, which I've explained this one before. I hate this as an actual mastering plugin, but I like it as a width plugin. And that's what I did. So I left the parallel compression going. I like 3. That setting on 3 is perfect, and 4 is all right. 3 and 4, but 3 is perfect. I brought out these resonance filters just because there's a lot of noise already in this record. So like a weird muffly not nasal sound or something that this helps with. And then this one has more of the junk. A lot of the bright stuff we didn't want, so I left those in. The EQ's all at 0. Like I said, I didn't care for this tone thingy here. And then I just make sure that everything at 42 hertz and down stays mono, and then just enhance the stereo image a little bit. So I just used it as make it wider, and that's it. Then I go into my limiter, 1.4 to 0.3, and then these are just meters. These stay bypassed, and that's it. That's the entire way I made this to have a little bit more life. As you can see, you don't need a lot of processing when you're doing your records. I know you're thinking, but you have an EQ and compression on everything, you know, with the SSL channel. But it's not doing anything. I just like the sound. So basically all I'm using it for is to add color, not really to process and manipulate the sound. It's just to add color to the sound overall. You don't need a lot of processing. I see people processing a lot, and they're just killing the life out of the records. So do something like this where you're enhancing and you're fixing, and you're addressing the issues first, and that's what I did here and here. And then you're adding your color down here afterwards. Or you can do it all in one channel. You don't need to do my routing and the auxes, but you can just add color afterwards if you'd like. But that's just the way I do stuff. But that's what I did. I addressed the issues, which is basically these two, and then I added and enhanced down here the color I wanted, and then of course the life with the effects. Nothing else. It wasn't difficult, but it does make a huge difference, as you can tell when I A/B it, the subtle movements I did. I hope this helped you guys. It's really more of a just trying to get your mindset right when approaching mixes, and showing you that you don't need a process or have an EQ and compressor on every single track because it doesn't have one. You can do bare minimal, and it'll bring a lot of life to records. As always, everybody, keep creating music. Take care.